Hello, welcome. We are going to talk about language today and how our words matter, and specifically related to bedtime and telling kids it's time for bed. So deciding to talk about this today was basically came about because we've had a challenging few days. My twins are both sick. We're all kind of feeling a little bit sick. It's really smoky here as well, so that's kind of adding to the problem, I'm sure. But ultimately, we're all kind of tired of each other. We've been staying at home and haven't been going anywhere. Don't want to have snotty noses in public and whatnot. So the boys were playing and getting into trouble, and finally weren't listening, and I was distracted and started getting a little bit more irritable and angry than I normally like, and was yelling with them and everything, and trying to remember the whole positive parenting thing, telling them what to do instead of what not to do. And it's easier said than done. A lot of these things come out of our mouths. They're just instinctual. They're just natural to do, and kind of being conscious as a parent and saying things nicely is not always easy to do, right? So what ended up happening was that, it just gave me a big lesson of remembering. And so I thought, let's talk about bedtime. It's a nice parallel. So with bedtime, when we tell kids it's time for bed, especially, our toddlers and older kids, even up like, 6, 7, 8, it's like this panic sets in. They don't want to go to bed, all right? They constantly, or instantly, I should say, think about not wanting to go to bed. They don't want to stop the activity they're doing. If they're playing a game or if they're watching TV, they don't want to stop, right? So that's the first little bit. And then the next little bit comes around, and maybe they realize that it means that they're going to have to stay good night. They don't want to be by themselves in the dark. Maybe have had struggles at bedtime lately, and they just instantly don't want to have the struggle of having to go to bed. They know it means they're not going to see you till morning. Maybe they don't want to do what comes the next day. So all these different thoughts come in with bedtime. And there's an easier way. Instead of saying it's bedtime, the time to go to bed, you can say, okay, it's time for winding down time. We need to teach our bodies it's sleep, or teach our bodies it's time to relax, or teach our bodies it's quiet time, slow down, and give them a couple choices, ideally 1 or 2 things to choose from, or I guess you can't choose if it's one thing, 2 or 3 things to choose from that are kind of slow and calm things to do, whether it's reading or puzzles are a good one. And give them an opportunity to do that. Set a timer, maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes, something to kind of be a buffer between stopping the activity that they're doing and having to get ready for bed. All right. So that's a great way to kind of transition them. I know that my kids really like timers. I don't know what it is about timers, but somehow when that timer dings, they know it's time to move to the next activity without me needing to say anything. And so it kind of just puts the control into their hands a little bit. They can kind of be nudged without me having to say anything. And then you can kind of go into the bedtime routine without having to do a whole lot of extra work. So instead of saying it's bedtime, say it's time for wind down time. In time, you do run the risk of kids learning that wind down time basically just means the same as bedtime, and they begin to fight that, but they may not. You never know. So I don't know. My kids love it. I encourage you to give it a try. And just think about your language when you're asking your kids to do something. Is there something instead you can tell them that kind of makes it a little bit less negative, a little bit more scary, a little bit more like something that they want to do. So I'm curious as to see if you have a phrase or a story of something in particular that you've done to help get your kids to bed that kind of worked for you as opposed to causing a fight. Put it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.